Guys, let me reminisce on something for you. I think this is more for me than it is you, but if you stick along for story time, I think you'll have some fun on this journey. So, there's not a lot of sports content out there right now, right? Okay, so one of my favorite websites, Flow Wrestling. Flow Wrestling, same position as all of us, where there's not any wrestling going on. What are they going to cover? Well, they've been doing something very fun. They're taking old matches, they're bringing them out, and they're putting brand new commentators on them, talking about here's what happened. Now, look, I would argue for you, the biggest wrestling match of all time would be Sergey Beloglazov versus John Smith, okay? Smith being the greatest wrestler to ever live, but before that, another guy was born, and his name was Sergey Beloglazov, who was the best wrestler to ever live till John Smith's mother gave birth. Now, listen. The reason this does not go down as the biggest match of all time is there was absolutely no title on the line. What had happened is Beloglazov had won the Olympic championship and he won a whole bunch of world championships. I believe combined he had 5 of them. John Smith went on to win 2 Olympic championships, 4 world championships for a combination of 6, but at the time of this match, Smith was the reigning world and Olympic champion. Beloglazov was down a weight class, but was the reigning world and Olympic champion. They meet up in New York City, and somebody puts up $10,000 for this match. Both guys get $2,000 just to show up. Winner gets 6. In the world of wrestling, that would be the highest purse ever at the time of this match. It goes down in New York City, crowd everywhere, lights, camera, action, boom. They shake hands, they go at it. Smith takes them apart. It does not look like the Olympic champion is taking on an Olympic champion. It looks like the Olympic champion is taking on a guy that's pretty good at wrestling. Smith takes him apart. All takedowns, never turns him once. I think the final score is 7-1. All takedowns are worth 1 point. 8 takedowns in the match. 7 of them go to Smith. Debate is over. You can never argue it again. The greatest alive, John Smith. Now, Beloglazov comes out, and he doesn't do this publicly. Don't forget, guys, we're talking about 1989, okay? So the internet wasn't a thing. If you've got a message to get it out, it's not a thing. Flow Wrestling is not a thing. Martin hadn't even started the damn thing. There's nothing to talk about. But Sergey Beloglazov has told people who have told me that he had retired from wrestling. He was no longer a wrestler. He was not training. That he goes into a cafe in Moscow to get himself a scone and a cup of tea, and he sees a poster on the wall that says he is flying to New York to take on Smith. That's how he found out about the match. Now, in that world, it wasn't Russia back then. It was called the USSR. Now, Russia, even today, will make the decisions of when and where their athletes go and who they compete with and how all of that works out. But the USSR was even more extreme. You did whatever you were told to do. So Sergey gets on a plane, flies to Smith, in many ways gets humiliated, for lack of a better word. All respect to Beloglazov, but this was not competitive, okay? This was not competitive. But he said, I wasn't even training for that. I just happened to be on weight because we had to do it at Smith's weight class. Take that how you will. I'm just sharing a fun story for you, but I will argue. The biggest match ever? But the biggest U.S. match ever? Yeah, I think it's coming up. We got it right here. 4-time world medalist, including an Olympic medal, 2-time world champion J'den Cox, taking on the greatest 96-kilo guy this country has ever produced, Olympic and multiple-time world and Olympic defending champion Kyle Snyder. Now, you guys might be asking yourself, Chael, how does that work? How do 2 guys compete at the same time and they're both world champions? Well, real easy answer. Cox has been down a weight class. Cox is now moving up for this Olympic cycle, 296 kilos. So we got a world champion, we got a world champion. They got to go with each other just to get out of the country. And by the way the final wrestle-off works under USAW standards for Olympic team, world or Olympic competition, 2 out of 3. And those 2 out of 3 will take place in the same day. These guys have wrestled before. They've wrestled in college before. They wrestled at the Junior Nationals before. They've wrestled at the U.S. Open before. They've flip-flopped who wins. So with everything on the line, a world champion, an Olympic champion, one of them doesn't even get to participate in the games. one of them staying at home. And if you're telling me that that's not drama and that's not stakes to the highest of levels, then I'd love to hear your story.